Thanks, Jess, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Kenneth Matthews. I am the collegiate peer recovery coach at West Virginia State University. I'm also a person in long-term recovery, as well as a formerly incarcerated person. Um, for Recovery Month, I'll give you a little bit of my story. I was born and raised in Chicago, dealt with different adverse childhood experiences as I was growing up, everything from seeing substance use disorder, domestic violence, even sexual assault and molestation, that kind of thing. Growing up, I always, I never really felt like I belonged to, or was a part of my family. I always felt like I was kind of on the outside. My biological father was incarcerated my entire life. I met him for the first time when I was 18 years old, and I was incarcerated at that time. And so it was one of those things, like you hear little things growing up, like just like your father, or like father like son. So back in my mind, I always felt like thought that my destiny, my life was going to be exactly like his. Dealing with substance use, mental health issues, criminal behaviors and destructive decisions, and incarceration. I, did little things when I was a child growing up, as a lot of kids do. Getting in fights and doing that kind of thing. Experimented with little drugs like marijuana and alcohol at a young age. Went and I was in and out of the juvenile system due to my behaviors. And at 18, I was incarcerated in an adult penitentiary for the first time. I started off at Cook County Division I, later transferred to an adult facility in Illinois. Throughout this time, still working out, maintaining, my physical health. But I got to meet some individuals that were incarcerated with my biological father. And, they would tell me stories like, man, you look just like your dad, or man, you remind me so much of him. And that kind of like reinstilled and reinforced those thoughts that, I am just like him. And I will be just like him in and out of incarceration my entire life. At the same time, I had this, want and desire to do better, be better. On my release, I was 21 years old, and I was in really great shape. I thought, this is the beginning of my life. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna, do things different. I'm gonna stay out of jail, stay out of trouble. I got to go to college because some coaches remember me from playing football in high school, and they gave me a shot. So I'm playing collegiate football, and so I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll do great at football, I'll make it to the NFL, and my life is going to be completely different. I'm not gonna fall into that same trap of reincarceration that plagued so many people in my family, plagued my biological father, and I'm gonna break that cycle. But I never dealt with the issues, the thoughts, the feelings, the experiences that would allow me to not fall into those traps and not fall into those things. Um, my sophomore going to my junior year. Now, mind you, thinking like, yeah, I'm a great football star. I got this inflated self-ego, thinking I have everything under control, everything's fine. And due to an injury, playing pickup game in basketball, I lost my scholarship. I wasn't no longer able to play collegiate football. I was no longer able to, stay in school, so I had to drop out. During this period is when I started on the road to extreme substance use disorder. I was prescribed prescription pain pills, a lot more than I probably should have, and I began to misuse it. And anytime I felt any type of twinge or anything like that, and at the same time, I'm thinking I don't have an issue. People are like, hey, you're doing a little bit too much. Maybe you should slow down. No, I got it under control. I'm fine. And eventually got to the point where I was waking up and in pain. So I would do pills. And when those pills would wear off, I'd take more because I was sick to my stomach and I was, having hot and cold chills. But I'm not recognizing that I had a substance use disorder. I'm not recognizing that these are the signs of dependence. I thought, condition, I'm not addict. I'm just in pain. I need these pills. And it got to the point where the pills were no longer enough. And that's when I started to use heroin. But at the same time, I'm still telling myself that I'm not an addict because I'm only snorting it. I'm not injecting it via syringe. I'm not smoking it via a pipe or anything like that. I'm just snorting it. And I'm only doing a little bit because it makes the pain go away and I feel better. I'm not sick or anything like that. And this happened, and this continued on pattern for years. I can remember waking up in a sweaty white tank top, blue shorts, sweating, like drenched in sweat, but at the same time cold. At the same time, my body is locking up and it feels like my bones are going to snap. Grinding my teeth because my stomach is doing flips. I'm running to the bathroom and emptying everything out of my stomach, but still feeling horrible. But as soon as I snort a little bit of the heroin, a little bit of that opioid, all that feeling will go away, and I feel better, and I feel like I can do anything, and go to work, and do this and do that. It got to the point where my dependence was a drain on my income, and of course, I'm doing a lot of different substances from Chicago's, rookies, so to speak, when it comes to distribution and sale of different substances. So I began to sell to support my habit and quote unquote support my family because I needed the extra money. I have a son now. He's about to be born, and I need to provide for my family because my son wouldn't grow up with not having anything, not always be there. I want to be like my biological father and just not be there for him or being just sell to get my family ahead, and that created another dependence where I became dependent on the money, and that lifestyle, and the substances. So 2008, and 10 was my first incarceration in West Virginia um, for the distribution of controlled substances. I got sentenced to 220 years for possession with intent of marijuana and possession with intent of cocaine. I did 5 years on that 220 sentence. During that time period, I didn't see my son. Didn't really find out how he was doing. My previous relationship with his mother fell apart. And I was still like, no, I'm good. I'll figure this out. I will. I didn't work on, the criminal thinking. I didn't work on the destructive decision making. I didn't work on my mental health. I didn't work on my substance use. I was just like, I'm good. I got this under control. I get out 2015 and I say, you know what? Starting over. December 14th, 2015, I was released from incarceration. And I said, you know what? This is it. I am going to make it this time. And I tried hard. Again, I tried. I was like, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing this and not doing that. But sometimes you have to pay for the mistakes that you've already made at a later time. That's what ended up happening. In 2017, February 22nd, I was rearrested for 2 deliveries of heroin. And I pled guilty. I pled to affirmation that I would say, I did it. It was me. Let me serve my time. At this point, I started realizing that I needed support. I needed to work on those things in me that would allow me to make bad decisions. So I started on my recovery, the process of my recovery. I'm reading 12-step books. I'm reading stuff about, mental, how your mind works, how the neurons and pathways and connections and things like that. I always consider myself kind of an intellectual. So I read all these books from self-help to faith-based to all these different things, and began the process of working on my recovery. So from February 22nd, 2017, that's what I consider my recovery date, because that was the day that I started that process of active recovery from mental health issues, from destructive thinking, criminal thinking, as well as substances. I was sentenced to 2 to 30 years. In the process of me being incarcerated, I go through periods where, I try to do everything right, and then periods where it's slack off. I'm like, this ain't bad. I ain't worried about this time. I could do this time. I was at Mount Olive Correctional Complex. And this is when I think everything really clicked for me. So I'm standing there in a white t-shirt with my DOC number right here, 3485804. And I'm in a pair of gray shorts, got this white nondescript socks on. I have these bright orange sandals on, and I'm eating an ice cream, ice cream that I got from the commissary. And I'm standing there, I'm looking beyond the razor wire of these buildings. I'm standing outside on the rec yard, just like dressed in like, oh, it's another day. And beyond the razor wire fence of the facility, you can see trees and because we're on a mountain, and you see the forest and outside, all the trees and stuff like that. And I say, no, it have to be pretty crazy and nerve wracking to walk through that, trees and all that stuff. I'm thinking about like, man, that looks like it. I wouldn't want to do that. And then my vision switched, and I'm looking around me at all the other inmates, going about their daily routine and stuff that they're doing. And I'm looking at the razor wire. And I had this moment of clarity where I was like, I'm comfortable here. I feel safe and secure. I'm not worried. And that scared me. No one should feel comfortable in a correctional institution. No one should have a feeling like nothing is wrong with that patient. I had more anxiety and nervousness about the force beyond the facility than what was going on around me in the facility. And I knew I had to do something different. So I started going to the education department, and there I met Brian Little, career development specialist. And he is a specialist. He's a life specialist. He began talking to me about how real life is. He has similar background being from New York as me. But he didn't allow himself to fall victim to the same traps and the same beliefs and the same thinking that I did. He was successful because here he was, somebody that grew up similar to I did, but was never incarcerated. He played collegiate sports, continued his education. He even had injuries that happened, but continued his education and was giving back to us there at the facility, telling us, you have to change your thinking. You have to change what you say you value. You say you value your family, but you're doing everything opposite to have yourself being taken away from your family rather than being there as a protector, provider, and support for your family. You say you value honesty, but you're willing to be dishonest with yourself and others about what's really going on. And then I started working with another group of inmates there. Some who will never get out of prison, but they understand the need to change your thinking. So they created this group called Olive Tree. And it's a class, and it's about other, inmates at the facilities teaching other inmates in a peer-to-peer model of how to really live your life even while you're incarcerated based on what you want your reality to be and your life to be post-incarceration. And I learned about pruning and all these different things. And it really helped to change my thought patterns, and change my behaviors, and change the values that I had, and the way I acted, and the way I interacted with different people. So in April 9th of 2020, I was released on parole from incarceration. And I said, this day, this is a brand new day. This is the start of the rest of my life. And 12-step, there's a saying, just for today. And I had saying for myself, just for this moment, just for this second, because I couldn't worry about what's going on later in the day. Because if I did, I would lose track and lose focus of the decisions and the thoughts that I was having right there in that moment. And all it takes for me to mess up is one moment, 1 second where I'm not really on guard and focusing on my thinking, focusing on my behavior, focusing on what I'm doing. And I go 100 miles in the opposite direction. And so it was just for this moment. And then I got to meet people because I didn't have the confidence that I could make it. So, I've done so much. I've hurt so many people. I've not been there for so many things, so many years that I'm just used to that. I'm okay with that. I know I could survive. I know I could live in prison. And so those old thoughts started coming. Then started meeting people like Joanna Vance, like Annette Johnson, like Charlotte Webb, like Susie Mullins, like Tiffany Tyson at Jobs at Home. All these people that came and supported me and helped me. People at the Covenant House that came and supported me, that saw value in me when I didn't even see it in myself. Recovery Month, we have the story of me. We have the story of us, and the story of now, right? Where it's every person, every family, every community. I am a living example of that story. Start off with me wanting a difference, wanting a change. It started off with my extended family helping me. Fiance Rachel, her mother, people in her family. Then it's a community, my community support, where it's institutions, buildings, people like the Covenant House, like Jobs at Hope, like CARE, West Virginia Cares, like CORE, Creating Opportunities in Recovery Employment, with Charlotte Webb and all those great people in all these different jobs and different titles and different things, helping me, giving me guidance, giving me an example. Because from the time I was 18 to the time I was 38, now I've spent 12 years of my life incarcerated, 5 years of that on parole. 5 years on parole, 12 years incarcerated. That's 17 years out of a 20-year period that I was living completely contrary. And even when I wasn't on parole, I wasn't doing all the things that I should be doing. And so I had no idea how to really live life, how to really succeed. So I got all these people as examples. Some are from similar walks of life, some not. And I took examples from them and I applied it to my life and applied it to my existence and saying incarceration, substance use, mental health issues, destructive decision-making does not have to be my reality. In this recovery month, if you are suffering from a substance use disorder, remember, there are people that understand and care. There are people that will support you and help you every step of the way. If you're not suffering from a substance use disorder, or mental health, or destructive decision-making, or that criminal thinking, but know people that are, remember, these are our community members. These are our neighbors. We are in this together. We are one community. We are one state. We are one country. We are one earth. We are one race, mankind. And as mankind, we have to be kind to our fellow man, be understanding, be supportive, support the ones that are struggling right now. Help them see that there are people that care. There are people that will love them until they can love themselves. There are people that will help them until they can help themselves. That's the only way we really can make a lasting change. Everybody knows the headlines in our state. We're number one in, the opioid epidemic. Number one in the rate of overdoses. And even some of our counties now are number one in the increase of transmission of diseases like HIV, hepatitis, and things of that nature. Let's be number one in the support that we give to each other. Let's be number one in the resources that we provide to those in need. Because around every corner in this state, there is a recovery story. Around every somewhere in every neighborhood, every town, every city, every hollow, there is a recovery story. So let's remember that we are in this together. We are West Virginians. And what is our motto? Mountaineers live free. Let's make sure every mountaineer lives free from substance use, from mental health, from destructive decision making, from that criminal thinking, that institutionalized thinking. Let's make sure that we make our state the best that we possibly can. Because this is not just a story of me. This is not just a story of my family. This is a story of us, our community story, our state story. And let's every month, not just a recovery month, remember what's important. That is that we are all in this together. When it affects one of us, affects all of us. Thank you.